I published my first book, my memoir, The Daughter of the Innocent Man, in 2024. Since then, I have expanded my literary work and to include a self-help book, a prompt journal, 2 children's books, and 2 coloring books. I'm an author, advocate, and speaker, and host of this podcast, Authors, Writers, and Wannabes, where I welcome weekly guests and empower fellow writers with insight, support, inspiration, practical advice, and encouragement as they navigate their creative journeys.
Hello, welcome to Authors, Writers, and Wannabes. How are you doing tonight? It is 7:00 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I want to give a shout out to BS3 Network. We are through StreamYard, and we are Facebook Live, Noelle Daniels, and we will be on Spotify, Roku, YouTube, Google, and Apple Music. And we have guest Miss Catherine joining us tonight. So, Catherine, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Catherine King, and I have, I turned 50 this year, half a century. So that was quite an accomplishment for me this year. Yeah. And I am an author, but I'm also a mom of 3 adult children. I have taught for probably over 30 years. I've worked as an editor and fact checker for books in the past, and I just really enjoy the writing process and inspiring other writers to do what they do.
All right. So Catherine and I had a Zoom call last week, y'all, and the topic this week is writer's block: how to go from stuck to unstuck. So that's what we'll be talking about tonight. And Miss Catherine King, first question I'm going to ask you is, I have it somewhere. So when you hear the phrase writer's block, what's the first thing that comes to mind to you?
Writer's block. Well, the first thing that comes to mind, I think frustration would be a word that comes to mind. Right. I think a lot of us, when we get writer's block, that emotion is what's blocking us many times, because we're writing, we know what we want to write, but we can't get there. How do we get to that point? And that frustration ends up being an impediment to what we're doing.
Yeah. Do you think some writers and authors self-sabotage themselves?
I think so, because they think in their minds, I would say erroneously, that it has to be right the first time.
Yeah.
I always tell people, like several people have sent me their stuff to read, and I'm just like, just write. Just write. Don't try to edit the first time through. Just get it out on paper. Because that's part of the struggle. A lot of times people, when they write, they want it to be perfect the first time it comes out. Right. And when it's not, they get stuck, or they're just like, well, I don't know where it's going. And so they get really stuck, or they lack of preparation.
Some people don't even know where to start,
Exactly. And sometimes you don't need to start at the beginning. I'll give you a great example. This third book that I'm writing, I did not start in the beginning. I actually started at the end. In fact, we have this joke. We were like, the character was always meant to die.
And what kind of book is this? What genre is this?
Historical fiction, paranormal, fantasy.
Okay.
So we have a little bit. It's a clean and wholesome vampire fantasy fiction, and so with this one, I actually started with a writing prompt that really caught my attention, and then I'm like, I'm going to make this book around this writing prompt. So I started the planning process in the middle, but like in the first book, though, I started from the beginning. So sometimes you just start in the middle and you see where it takes you, and then you fill in the rest.
Yeah. So fiction. You like writing fiction? You like writing a lot of fiction books?
I lean more towards I guess you could say yes, but I lean towards historical fiction. I like it to be about 75% truth. I very rarely watch or do any kind of entertainment that doesn't have some kind of educational value. I just don't. And so I really enjoy bringing that into my novels, so that when things are there, they're real. Like the places they go to, the events they're going into. So when I start into an historical fiction novel that I write, Oh goodness, there's probably like weeks that I go into with research. You
Mm.
know, how long does it take to get a horse from this point to this point in 1860? You know, how many miles could they even travel from stop to stop and so forth? So I do a lot of research because if you can do the research, sometimes that research gets you out of the writer's block
Ah,
because
yeah.
you're like, oh yeah, oh, that's how long it takes. Well, if it took them a whole year to get the money for a ticket on a stagecoach, well, then what kind of people would even have that money? And then you start developing your characters and you know why they would even be spending that kind of money. So a lot of it, that research sometimes helps too.
So you're saying that sometimes starting at the end is best.
Sometimes it can be if you have an idea and you're just like, hey, I want it to get to here. The only
Right.
thing is I will say that the third book, doing it that way, it was a little more frustrating for me as a writer because I wanted to skip to the good stuff.
Right. Right.
Like the first half of the book, I'm like, seriously, I just need to get through this and get to the good stuff because I knew where I wanted the characters to be because I had written several scenes throughout the book. And so that was a little frustrating, you know, because for me, holding myself back, you know, to get to where I wanted to be.
So you said that frustration is one of the things that comes to mind to you. So what other what else comes to mind to you when we say what writer's block?
Um, like in regards to like how we feel or how we deal with it.
How we feel. Let's go
I
to how
think
we feel first.
okay, I think anxiety. I think
Anxiety,
anxiety definitely
anxiety,
kicks into that.
frustration.
We get this, we also get this perfect picture. We see everyone else succeeding
Right,
and we
right,
we want to be that person too.
right.
And so we start creating ourselves in the image of somebody else. Like, well, I'm not writing like J.K. Rowling. So
So comparison,
comparison, definitely. Comparison
comparison.
is the thief of
So we got
joy.
comparison, frustration, and anxiety. What's one more?
Oh wow. Lack of planning. I would
Ah,
say
that's a good
definitely
one, girl.
lack of planning.
That's a good one.
Because you get writer's block because you don't know what you're talking about. You write about what you know. Even when you're doing fantasy, you write
Right.
about what you know. But if you don't know anything, you can't write about it. And you
So
know,
so starting out with an outline is good.
outline, storyboards. I do
I've never done a
storyboards.
storyboard. I got to do a storyboard. What's included in a
Oh yeah.
storyboard? Tell the audience.
Well, I use the Mural app. If you haven't used
Mural.
Mural app, oh, I recommend it 100%. Mural app is basically sticky notes electronically. You can
Okay.
color code it. You can put pictures on it. You can do all kinds of things. You can put links and everything. And it's just this wonderful tool
Huh.
that allows you to put ideas. I can show you a picture of what it looks like. It's
Oh,
kind of cool.
do so, please.
Okay.
So you're saying mural as in Mural?
Mural. It is
All right.
my daughter actually from college. She actually graduated with her degree. And when we started planning out the first book, she said, Mom, you need to use the Mural app. And
Uh,
I'm like, how do
these
you
college
use
kids
the
know everything, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They do. And I'm like, okay, so how do you use the Mural app? So I was trying to see how do you share on this? I'm not sure how to share on this presentation.
So I know
These,
you go to the same link that I sent you because I have to
mhm.
add you to the stage. So for you who are listening, we are Facebook Live right now. So she's trying to share an image with us. Is it something on your side that says
You know,
present or invite?
it does not. I say comments, recording, private chat. It may be simple for me just to show you my war room wall. I'm going to turn the camera around like really quick.
Okay.
This is basically the Mural app on my wall.
Okay. Okay.
Because I printed some of it, and some of it's planning, some of it's like maps and other
Oh,
images.
that's cool.
So, but you can do all of that on the Mural app. And so some of the color coding, we do that with character building,
Okay.
chapter summaries, timelines. Like when we were talking about in the beginning of our story of the first book, we have a hurricane. And so I needed to make sure that they all followed a certain timeline, French Revolution timeline, pictures, inspiration, get it all out there. The Mural app, family trees. If you're doing a series, it's good to have family trees where you can track of like, okay, wait a minute, she had 8 brothers and sisters. What were the names again? So you don't mess them up from book to book.
Okay.
So it's a wonderful tool. It also can let you put plot mountains. Plot mountains. Oh, I teach writing and I tell my students all the time, plot mountains. You need to start
Okay,
out.
so for the people who do not know what plot mountains are, explain that to us.
All right. So you start, no problem. Like I'm teaching writing. You start out with exposition, which is your setting, what's happening, place, thing, timeline in history. Then you have to have what's called an inciting incident, something that gets the story going, that if you did not have that incident, you would not have a story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have that inciting incident. Next comes your rising action. It is all the action that is building up to your climax. Now, in my books, I tend to have a couple mini climaxes and then a really big climax.
Okay.
So your rising action are all those events that lead up to that climax. Some authors will put that climax near the end of the book. Some of it's in the middle of the book. Most people do it about 2/3 in. And
What do you think is best? Because don't you want to get the reader engaged at the beginning? Because if I'm not engaged at the beginning, if it's not interesting in the beginning, then I stop reading the book.
Exactly. Well, and that's your inciting incident. Your inciting incident should get them engaged. Our inciting incident in book 1 is they become vampires, and they don't want to be. If they hadn't have become vampires, there'd be no book. They survived a shipwreck. Okay, have a good day. You know what I mean?
Right.
So whatever that inciting incident is, what keeps you going, and then that rising action is how they survive.
I feel like I should take an English class all over again.
You can come over. We'll do another class on how to do plot mountains. Okay.
Let me write this down. I thought I was good at this. Hey, I'm an author, but I'm no expert. Okay.
Oh, well, I've actually been teaching creative writing for probably about 20 years.
Creative writing.
Yeah,
actually, English was my favorite subject in school. I used to love writing papers, and I never thought I would be an author like 40 years later.
I never thought I would author my own book.
You never thought you would?
No, because it was something I just enjoyed doing. It was a hobby, and it was something that I helped other people succeed in doing. But then I got an idea, and it was like I had a movie in my head I had to get out. And once I got out, it's like, now these characters are real.
Now, when did you start writing, Catherine?
When did I start writing? Oh, goodness, probably when I was like 14 or 15.
Now, this was just for fun, right?
Yeah, just for fun, mostly poetry, little stories here and there.
So when did you start writing your first book?
The first book I wrote was when my daughter was in the 5th grade. Because I was working a job.
How long ago was that? We don't know when your daughter was.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I had to think. Like, you're taxing my 50-year-old brain. Well, let's see. You would have been like about 11 at that time, and she's 25 now. It's about 14 years ago.
Okay.
About 14 years ago.
Okay.
But I started out. I worked at a job where you couldn't have anything you couldn't have anything on your desk, but you could have a notebook. So in between phone calls when I was sitting there doing nothing, which drove me crazy, ADHD, I have high functioning anxiety. I can't stand sitting there doing nothing.
Oh, me too.
So I hate that. I cannot stand doing nothing.
Hey, what do you call that?
It's called high functioning anxiety.
Okay.
So you cannot stand doing nothing.
Gotcha.
So I would write a book. So I started writing this book, which was a sequel to the Christie novel by Catherine Marshall. Now, it's a book that I'll never publish. We've talked to the Lessard family. They're wonderful people. But it's nothing that I would ever publish. But it was something that it was nice to kind of like a continuation of that story. And so every night I would come home and I would read my daughter what I wrote. And it had this wonderful time with my daughter and my other daughter. We'd be sitting on the couch at night and I'd be reading the story of what happened. And it is an incredibly bonding moment that we have in our history, and really spurred when we wrote this book. We were doing it again, and my daughter's just like, it's just like when I was younger. I loved it, And so it was just because my daughter and I wrote this book together. I wrote it, she helped with the planning and everything. So it was just a wonderful time to relive that a little bit, and find that same passion that we enjoyed. So that was the first book.
Can I ask you why you would never publish it?
Whenever you use someone else, it is a continuation of the Christie novel. So you're using the intellectual characters of somebody else. So that would be breaking the copyright. So if I
Gotcha.
were to ever publish that, I would need the Little Sword family's approval because those
Gotcha.
are her intellectual characters. Those are real people, actually.
Okay.
Yes, the doctor isn't real. She married the preacher in real life. We know, but it is her intellectual work. Even though it has been over 50 years, it's still their intellectual property.
So why don't you just change it to fictional characters?
I know. That's what everybody keeps saying. They're like, why don't you just change it? You know, and I'm like, I know. But I don't know. It's kind of like one of
You
those,
just, yeah.
it became
It's
one of
their
those things that
story
was
though,
art.
right?
It is. But
Yeah.
the story that I wrote is different because it's, again, going to a new storyline. I mean, it's still a 500-page novel, but it was just something I may go back one day to it and change it up, like you say.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was just kind of like one of those memories. It's like, do you want to mess with the memory or just let it be? You know.
Now, how long did it take you and your daughter to write that book?
Which one? The current one or that one?
The first one.
The first one I just wrote, and it only took me about 2 months. The book that I wrote recently, I wrote in 6 weeks.
Right. I think I remember you telling me that. So you wrote
Yeah.
that book, the most recent, with your daughter.
Yes, I write 90% of the book, and what she does is she contributes character continuity. She'll put in some lines, or we were reading a chapter and she's like, "Oh, Mom, there needs to be a tea chapter. Someone needs to spill the tea for a chapter." And I'm like,
Oh,
"Okay."
wow.
So, and she's like, "Or wouldn't there be a really neat thing if so and so was having a tea party with his granddaughter?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's a cute little scene. We should put it in there somehow." You
Now,
know,
what is your daughter majoring in? I'm just curious.
She has her degree in graphic design, and so
Okay.
she actually teaches as well and teaches creative writing.
Oh, wow.
English
Okay.
and creative writing. So,
Okay.
but yes, she got her degree in graphic design. Both of my children, actually, all three of my children graduated in COVID time, 2 from college and 1 from high school.
Okay.
And so they graduated in 2020. And of course, at that time, nobody was open. So it was very difficult for them to, they were both teaching. My son, Jedediah, he actually has a history degree. And so they both were going into teaching. And thankfully, they were able to find a job teaching online.
History degree, and you love writing historical fiction.
Yes, we have my aunt was an incredible teacher as well. She taught English. And we actually have 2 major writers in our history. Jack London is one of my direct descendants, as well as Washington Irving, who wrote The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. So it's a little bit in our blood.
Yeah, I would say so. So are all those your books in the background on the bookshelf?
No, but I have edited and fact checked the ones on the top shelf. The ones on the top shelf are from an author that I did some fact checking for her. My books are over here on this side.
So let's dive into the editing process. So
Sure.
tell us about how you edit and everything.
No problem. Like what I do, there's a couple ways I do it. The first book I edited 12 times before I actually published. I call it word wrangling.
12 times?
It feels like word wrangling 12 times.
Oh my goodness.
And I still find errors. The best way to find an error is to publish it, because then you'll find all your errors.
Oh, heck yeah.
But reading it out loud. So my first thing I do is I write, like right now I'm writing book 3. So I write a chapter. Then the next day I read it and write. I edit it a little bit. And then I will leave it, come back another day later, edit it again. And then I just leave it and go on to the next chapter. And then right now my daughter's reading through it, book 3 with me right now. She's like in the middle of the book. And so I will read it out loud to her.
Okay.
Because you will catch your errors more if you read it out loud. Because you have trained your ear to what is right and what is wrong. And so I will catch things like, oh, I've used the same word twice here in this sentence, and things like that. And so I read it out loud. Well, then we finish it and we just leave it for like a month.
Okay.
And then we come back and read it again.
Okay.
And you will find all kinds of stuff. And honestly, that's when I put in the breadcrumbs. I put in all these ties to book 1 and book 3 and book 2 and maybe something I want to have in the future in book 4. So I will start adding in all these little breadcrumbs and tie-ins, because when you do a series, even if it's standalone, you have to have tie-ins so that if they haven't read book 1, it's okay. You can tell them that there was a shipwreck and they all survived. You know what I mean? But you have to kind of put in the little breadcrumbs that seem annoying when you're writing it in the beginning. That's why I say just to write. When you first start,
yeah,
just write. You can
yeah,
put in all those details later.
yeah.
It's no big deal.
So you're saying you finished a 600-page book in 6 weeks?
6 weeks, hands down. Because I
Okay,
started
so
and
did
I
you
just didn't
experience
stop
any type of writer's block when you was writing that book?
all the time. I would be sitting there going, what would they be doing here? I'd be laying there at night going, okay, they need to do something. What would they be doing here? How do I get them from here to here? Most of my writer's block is planning. How do I
Yeah,
get my characters from here to here where it doesn't feel like it's jolting? It flows. And also I don't want the chapter to be stupid. Like, why you shouldn't just have a chapter in there just to have a chapter in there. You know what I
right,
mean? There has to have a purpose.
right, right.
And so a lot of mine is okay. And there were a couple times where I'm just like, well, this book here when I was starting, because remember I started at the end. This one was like, where do I want to go with this? How do I want this relationship to go? And in some of that, once I started with knowing where I wanted the relationship to go, I needed to then look up what happens to a person when they've been abused. These are all the different things that they do. Or when someone goes through the 7 stages of grief. These in book 1, we have the 7 stages of grief. What are those? How are those exemplified in the characters? So doing those character deep dives also help you get out of the writer's block, because if you understand why your character is thinking and acting a certain way, you can create scenarios that he's going to be in.
Okay. So do you think writer's block is more about fear or fatigue?
I want to say a little, I think it's more fatigue, but in the sake of we get going and we get excited and we're like, we're going. And then we stop like, okay, it's 1:00 at night and you got to go to bed.
Right.
And you get up the next morning and you're like, wait a minute, where was I going with this? Why did I write that?
And then you got to go read it all over again.
Yeah. And again, and that's why I highly encourage going back and reading the chapter again, editing it a bit, because that helps with the writer's block. Because when you go back and you're reading that chapter, like you're getting excited again, you're building that momentum again.
Oh, this is what I forgot. I need to add this in here.
Yes.
That's what I've done too, because I'm writing a children's youth book for age 9 and 12 about adoption, because I'm adopted. And then I'm writing an erotic romance novel. So I was writing last time I picked up my laptop to write was last week on my romance novel. I've got writer's block on that first one, on that youth book. And I picked up the laptop last week and I started writing. And I just read it all over again, right? I think I got 4 chapters in. And I'm going in order this time. Well, I have thus far.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to skip a chapter and go to the end because I got a great ending and I don't want to forget it.
See, you got a thing going at the end. You're like, I gotta get there. The good stuff. Yeah. And it's hard when you write romance. I think that is really hard, because the best people are like, well, how do you do slow burn romance? I'll give you the best way to how to do slow burn romance. You write everything you want to happen with the 2 characters. Write it all out. Like write the whole scene out. Now go back and erase it, because he can't have it yet. But it helps you as an author, because what I do is I save it. I'll take it, save it, put it in I have this little folder. It says extra writing. It's an extra writing file for when I can add that in at the end of the story when it's allowed, you know. But I'm like, nope, he can't have that yet. But I need to get it out of my system. I need to because as a reader, we want it then. We want them to kiss then. No, he can't kiss for 10 more chapters.
Oh my goodness. I'm like, and then I'm gonna have to go to chapter 10. What's the name of chapter 10?
Exactly. No skipping. So that's for slow burn romance. That's what you gotta do. But you, as a writer, you almost have to write it just so that you can be like, I'm done. Now save it and put it back in later. You can't have it right now. We take it away from us as well.
So, if you are just now tuning in, we are talking about you have joined authors, writers, and wannabes, and our topic tonight is writer's block: how to go from stuck to unstuck. And we have Catherine as our guest, as my guest. So, I wanna dive into why I named this show "Authors, Writers, and Wannabes." I don't think I ever told you. But authors, I believe an author is a person, a writer, who has published a book, whether it is self-published or traditionally published. A writer is one who has began to write a book or write whatever. That's a writer. And then a wannabe is someone who does not know where to start or has asked ChatGPT to write me a book and copied and pasted and published a book. I think that's a wannabe. And some people will get mad, but I think that's the gist of it.
we were talking about that in our pre-show thing. And I think, and I teach students, and that is a very big temptation with students. Because, this is what I tell them. I tell them all the time. I said, can it write well? Yes. Can it be a wonderful tool? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I want to know what you think more than what it thinks, because what comes out of you is so much better and is so much more worth reading, because you can create things and scenarios in your mind that are so much more impactful that people will just remember for centuries. Way better than a chat GPT can, because a chat GPT is only as smart as the information that's provided to it.
Right.
And that's why I tell them, like, use it as your tools, use that Grammarly, use those different tools that are out there. Maybe use one as a writing prompt to get you going, but then make it your own, because you can do it. It's that lack of confidence.
Right.
You don't need chat GPT. You can do this.
Yeah. Now,
but can you want to means you can.
Yeah. Now, can you tell, Catherine, when you're grading, you grade papers?
Oh, I can tell you right away when it's.
Yeah, I was about to say, can you tell when someone has used AI?
Absolutely. The first thing you can usually tell is the language, especially they will use words that the student just would not use in their vocabulary. Also, if you're writing, like, I'll say an example, let's say you're doing a Victorian story, a period drama. It'll use words that just wouldn't be used at that time frame, or just are clunky. Or I always tell people, I'll be honest, I work and I listen to stories, and I listen to AI stories on YouTube while I'm working, because then, it's this mind-numbing work that I'm doing sometimes.
Right.
And goodness, there's this like list of 15 phrases that they always say. Looked at her with an unreadable expression. Well, if it's unreadable, why'd you write that? You can tell what his expression is. It's obviously not unreadable because you read it,
Right.
I mean, he doesn't always have to look at somebody with an unreadable expression. Describe it, please.
It's like, okay, you feed ChatGPT or whatever AI tool you're using what you want, right? At least go back in there and change some words up, right? At least read it through and change some words up,
Yeah.
Now, would you count that as plagiarism?
I know that if you use ChatGPT and you do not change it at least 75%, Amazon will catch it, flag it, and you will not be able to publish with Amazon.
Oh, really?
It's a big thing right now. And a lot of the author groups, there'll be people out there publishing with the ChatGPT, making them their whole book, or whoever it is that they use to create their whole books out of it. And they may get by on a couple books, but then Amazon's program catches it and it shuts that account down, and then they can't sell in that account, and they have to create a whole nother account to sell into their book. So you may get by, but they will catch it eventually, and then they'll boot the book off of Amazon, blah, 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 blah. So it's just a risk you take. There are certain keywords. I can tell you, if you're writing any romance, naming somebody Winters Ashbourne.
No, I got my own characters.
There are some very well-known AI characters. Winters, Mrs. Winters, Ashford. There's like a whole slew of them that I'm like, Seriously, if I hear those things, I know it's AI because they can't seem to be able to name them anything else.
No.
Why does the housekeeper have to be called Mrs. Winters? I don't know. So if you're out there and you want to have a housekeeper named Winters, change it.
Oh my goodness. So I'm in a lot of Facebook groups, right? How many writers Facebook groups are you in? I'm in about 10. I'd say
At
10
least
15.
30. I'm in
At
at
least
least 30.
30. Oh my
Yeah.
good God.
I'm in indie groups. I'm in regular groups, writers groups, ARC groups, at least 30.
do you actually spend time like going through those
I
on
do.
a daily basis and commenting and posting and stuff?
I do.
Yeah.
I do limit. It's not just self-promotion. I do self-promotion about once every 2 weeks because
And
I
would
don't
that
think
be
you
on
need to.
editing?
Sometimes it'll be on editing. Sometimes it'll be just like, hey, if you haven't checked out a book, you want to check out, Ethical Vampires, here's a book.
Okay.
Sometimes people are asking like for recommendations for books. I'll recommend ours. But most times it'll be like, what do you think about this? What about this cover? I did one today. They were showing 3 different covers and it was Gods of Spirals. And I'm like, something about that title is like tripping up my English brain. Gods of Spirals. And I'm like, I just want to say the God of Spirals or the Gods of Spirals. I don't know. There's something about it that's driving my brain crazy. But his cover was really cool. But I'm like, if he picked the one, I would say it was mythical, gothic. I might pick that book up and read the back. But the other one had like this red, almost like red mist background on it. And I'm like, I would not even pick that book up because I'm not into like kind of like the demonology and dark stuff. I'm not into all that. And that book to me, the cover speaks creepy. I don't do creepy. I write vampire books, but I don't do creepy. I don't. Yeah, like what? So I mean, so your cover says a lot about your book. Everybody keeps looking at our book saying, "Oh, it looks like Vampire Outlander." I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not. I have nothing to do with Diana Gabaldon, But that's the vibe they get. Sometimes you have to look at your covers and say, what vibe do you want your author to? I mean, I have no idea what his book is about.
Yeah.
But if you chose the red one, I'm probably not going to pick it up. So you have to make sure that your cover matches what your book is about.
What your book is about, yeah.
And that was actually given to me advice by another author.
Oh, really? Yeah. Now, speaking of covers and speaking of red, Miss Crystal Tamberlane, she's an author. She sent me her book. It's called Mystery in Fort Richfield.
Cool.
Can you see that cover?
I can.
Is the cover cool?
It is.
Yeah. I think it's real cool.
It speaks very paranormal.
It does, doesn't it? So Miss Crystal Tamberlane, she sent me her book. So I started reading it. Of course, I'm not finished with it. It's a fiction novel. And it's a pretty good lengthy book. It's not 600 pages like yours. It's about 350. Which is pretty lengthy for me, but
that's pretty hefty. That's a decent novel.
Yeah, but so I'm going to read the blurb on the back. So Casey Lundgren never thought her sophomore spring fling would end in a disaster. She and her best friend Jenny Forrester were supposed to dance, laugh, and maybe even make a few memories worth telling their future selves. But all it took was one spiteful confrontation with Ellie Mason, the queen bee of Fort Richfield High, for everything to spiral out of control. By sunrise, Ellie is missing. The only thing left behind are whispers, bone-chilling screams in the woods, a glint of amber eyes in the dark, and 2 girls, Casey and Jenny, at the center of it all. Now, 2 years later, in the spring of 2024, the town still remembers, and so does Casey. As new clues emerge and old wounds reopen, Casey must navigate the tangled web of memories, lies, and buried truths that stretch across both timelines. Because in a town like Fort Richfield, nothing ever stays quiet for long, and in the eyes in the dark are still watching.
So a gothic mystery.
Yeah. So it says, told in dual timelines, Mystery in Fort Richfield is a gripping, twist-filled mystery about friendship, fear, and the haunting cost of secrets. So it's a very interesting book. Yeah. So
she did a good job making sure that her cover matched to her theme.
So it really does, and it's a really cute cover. It has eyes. I don't know what kind of eyes that is. And then a girl sitting down with a white gown on a bench. But it's a very interesting book. Normally I would not pick this up, but I mean the cover. I think the cover is what determines if a person wants to read it. Don't you think?
Yeah, and I was gonna say a lot of eyes are in literature. We learn that there are certain things that are imagery focused items.
Uh-huh.
Eyes can be memories, looking back in the past, looking deep inside. Light, obviously you have, purity, hope, joy, darkness, you have, shadow, sadness. I mean, so there's always this imagery. So I think having the eyes on the cover really does speak to what
Yeah.
she's saying on the back.
Yeah.
Looking in depth into her past, as well as, and dual timelines is really popular right now. I think Gabrielle Meyer's got some dual timelines and time slips going on right now, and dual timelines are a big product right now.
Yeah. So I also received a book from another author. It's a poetry book, and they sent it in a cute little baggie here. And it is included in here with some bookmarks. So I'm going to start reading this next week. And I'm going to tell y'all a little bit about this next week. Isn't this cute?
Well, it's hard
to package real nicely.
All I can see are the swag on top. You can't really see the cover.
Yeah. Yeah. It's packaged real nicely. It's called Beautiful Chaos.
Oh, no, I do like that, because with it being the rainbow and it being chaotic rainbow, cool. That's an excellent cover.
Yeah, so I'm going to start reading this. If y'all are into poetry, it seems like a really good, interesting poetry book. So I'm going to start reading that probably, what's today?
Monday.
I'll probably start reading this on Wednesday. And then I'll tell y'all what that is about next week. But the book that I started this past week was Crystal Tamboline's Mystery in Fort Richfield. And that's what I was just talking about. So let's go back into a writer's
important
block.
that you said that, because a good writer is a writer that reads. If you don't read, you can't expect to be a good writer.
Yeah.
You have to read, and you become a better writer the more you read. You really do.
Every writer is different, right? Yep. And you may get all of these styles from different writers and put it in your own style, which is wonderful.
And I agree, because I think even though I've been writing a long time, my writing style in book 1 is completely different than my writing style in book 3. Yeah. I'm like, I have a lot more dependent clauses in book 3, I'm a very heavy dialogue tells a story kind of a person. And book 1 is heavy dialogue, where book 3 has a lot more description, a lot more world building, so it's just a little different. And I think is how you grow as a reader, as you write, as you're reading things and you're writing, you're integrating that.
Now, coming from a professor like yourself,
I don't know if I reached that stage. We'll get there.
Do you think it's best if a person actually writes out the chapter names and go from there?
Oh, see, now we don't even have chapter names. We have dates. We put chapter 1 and then we have the date. I do plan out. I will tell you. Book 2, I started writing. And I probably got like 5 or 6 chapters in. And I remember telling my husband, I said, I feel like I'm just writing to write, and I have no idea where this book is going. I'm just writing. And it feels like it's just I'm lost. And I said, I need to stop and write chapter summaries. And what I mean by chapter summaries, I use a mural app. Cannot say enough about it. But I use the mural app and I just write chapter 1. I want William to do this and this and this and this. Chapter 3, Charity's going to do this and this and this and this. And then just kind of like little bullet points of what I want to happen in each chapter. And then when I start to get writer's block, I go back and say, okay, now what did I want to happen in chapter 4? Okay, that's what we're going to do. Now, it may not end. Goodness, I did that for book 3. I think I fell off the timeline somewhere. But I reined it back in. Or my favorite one was I keep like a notebook of like where I think I want it to go. Well, after I finished writing 2/3 of book 3, I went back and read some of my notes of like, chapter blurbs. And I'm like, I like that book better. I need to switch things up. So now, just going back to basics.
Yeah. She actually used dates as well, but she named the chapters.
Yeah, some people, we do have like play names. We call like the seduction chapter, the redemption chapter, the cow chapter, but we don't actually put it in the book.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Hold on.
Some people do, some people don't.
Yeah,
Some people will put
no,
songs
actually,
there too.
no, she doesn't have the chapter name. She just has she has the date and then chapter 1, chapter 2,
Yeah.
chapter 3, okay.
See, I
So
put the
actually,
dates in.
I've never read a book like that. This is my first book that I'm reading like that.
Well, welcome.
Yeah. Welcome to the dark side.
Exactly. The dates for me help me, number one, to make sure that I'm keeping things consistent. I think the most frustrating thing in book 3 is our character is pregnant. One of our characters is pregnant. So everything that has to happen on a 9-month time frame. Seriously, I will never do that again. Having to plan this around a pregnancy is stressing me out, you know. But having that timeline, even with the first book I wrote with the Christie novel, second book for that, I did it in 11-month time frame because the Christie book is in an 11-month time frame. So each one of my books, even in this new saga, they are like a year timeline. So I try to keep it in that same timeline.
Okay, so digging into why it happens, why writer's block happens. Does it tend to show up at the beginning, middle, or end of a project for you? Did I ask you that already?
I think for me, it starts like in chapters 5 or 6 because I get excited and I get writing and I get going, and then I'm like, where did I want to go with this? And then I get frustrated because I want to get to this next point, and sometimes you just stop. You're like, you know what? I had that happen in this book. I was like, I don't know what I want to do here. I'm going to go ahead and write something at the end again. So I just switched it up and I just started writing a chapter at the end because I would rather be doing something productive towards the book than being frustrated with it.
Yeah.
And then
you
I went
talk
back
about
and
frustration a lot. So that's what you do to overcome frustration.
Yeah, I'll write to a writing prompt, or I'll just pick something up and start writing somewhere else in the story, a scene. I had a scene where there's like someone gets attacked and I just wrote that scene. And I'm like, I'll plug it in somewhere, you know.
Yeah. So we have talked about frustration, anxiety, and comparison, lack of planning, and how to overcome those. And I'm taking notes here. Research / planning, pictures, such as the mural app, like a family tree, you say.
Yep. We
And
talk about tools.
Then memories. Hey, tools. So these are your tools.
Yeah, we talk about tools. There's some tools coming up here to help.
Yeah. So one tool to help you overcome writer's block.
I'm going to pull in my alliteration, my alliteration skills. You know, as a writer, we got to use, I love alliteration. I love it. But prompts, productions, and people. Those are the 3 things. Prompts, productions, and people. The last one's going to be pause. Sometimes you just need to take a pause, like you're going in between 2 different works. Sometimes you just need to take a pause, walk away, come back like when you're in a better headspace.
Like I'm trying to write 2 different books right now. And
I could not do that.
And they're on the end of the spectrum, right? You know, I'm like,
I know. That's when you started saying that. I'm like, oh my goodness, what polar opposites. See, now that would probably make my brain explode. I'd be like, some poor devotional thing was going to get stuff in there they should never have had in there. You know?
I hope I don't add anything in that little child's book that's not supposed to be in there.
So do I.
Oh my goodness, that would be bad.
Yes. But one thing that I do is...
That's when I'm going to need you to edit it, girlfriend, okay?
Like, no. Oh, goodness. But I do prompts. When I teach, also, I have my students do 8-minute prompts. You write for 8 minutes. You spend 8 minutes going back over it and editing it, and then you share it. Just an 8-minute prompt, 8 minutes. It's called flash fiction is what they call it. Okay. And I use, for myself, I use the Story Engine. It's a wonderful product out there that just came out from some people in Canada. The Story Engine is a product you can buy in PDF form, or you can buy in cards. You can use it for teaching. You can use it for writing, D&D, all kinds of stuff. And what it does
say the name again. I'm sorry, Catherine.
The Story Engine, like choo-choo-choo engine.
Story Engine?
The Story Engine, and it's storyengine.com. Storyenginedeck.com. Sorry, storyenginedeck.com. I get nothing from them. I just love their product so much. as a teacher, my students excel using this. They love it because what I do is I show them, it starts out with, you pick the card will have 4 different characters on it. Like this one's got a spouse, a next in line, a free spirit, or a farmhand. So
Is
they
this what
pick a
you were telling
character.
me about last week?
Yes, I
Okay.
was.
Okay.
Yeah, so you pick a character, then you pick a problem. Wants to run away with or from or to someone. Wants to finally get an answer from within.
Now you got the cards in front of you?
I do not. I have it on the screen that I can't share. Oh yeah, I can do it like this again. All right, let me see. It's right here. The story engine. I wish I could get my there we go. Story engine.
Look at that. We made it work.
There
Okay.
you see. Technology is
Okay.
best there. So you have this, and then you have, and they have so many different genres: dark crafts, fantasy, circuit, sci-fi, outlaws, and gunslingers. So it's not just romance or anything. They got epic fantasy, written in
Wow.
Dragonfire, all different kinds. Oh, here's one written in Blood and Alibi for detective fiction.
Oh, cool.
But you get different situations. What is their living situation? How do they handle their anger? And it helps you when you see these, like, and now they are encountering the issue they cannot agree on. And now one of them is behaving strangely. And so you have to kind of decide, where am I going to go with this? And you get these prompts and you then explore the prompt and write yourself a little thing. And I have actually put a couple of those into my books by, getting an idea and then running with it.
That's very interesting. I like that. I think I'm going to buy that.
The PDF, I think the PDFs are like $10. The cards are $35, so a little bit more, but it's a very well-made product. I bought the entire pack because I'm like, I wanted to be able to teach all different genres. But it is really a solid product. If you want to be able to be a better writer, it's a great product to get. The other one I go to is historyquill.com. Historyquill, they have writing prompts, History Quill, writer beginners, or beginning. Yeah, I think it's beginning writers or writer beginnings. It has like all different fantasy prompts, all different mystery prompts, and like one says, a tournament where the prize is a wish granted by the gods themselves. Who are the contenders? And so you may not use that prompt, but it may give you an idea of what your character might do.
Right.
Maybe you're just stuck and you're like, in a world where darkness has swallowed the lands, your protagonist discovers the last ember of hope, capable of reliving the ancient light. What quest must they embark on to use it? Well, I may not want to write the Book of Ember. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you could use that to maybe tweak where you're stuck and be like, well, maybe he's going to go on a quest to find something that would help them to not be so susceptible to the sun. Maybe he's heard something from the local American Indians that would help him. And if he can go to them, maybe he can get their help. Now, see how I use that prompt to now create something in my story.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you can work it around.
Okay. So we got tools. We got prompts, production. Let's go into production.
Music. I listen to the tenors, the Canadian tenors, tenorsmusic.com, tenors. Our first book was inspired not by them, but by the thought behind one of their songs. And it was just this concept. I heard the song and I started thinking, wait a minute, what if you did become what everybody was afraid of? Would you want to live forever? I'm like, I don't know if I want to. And if you did want to live forever, what time of history would be the hardest to do this? To be this? What time of history would it be hardest to be a vampire? And then we went to the next level. What jobs would be the most difficult? What kind of people? Like we have a father who was an orphan. What kind of people would make it very difficult to be a doctor? How do you bloodlet people in the 1790s and you're a vampire? And if you want to still live and you still want to be a doctor, how do you do that and be a vampire? One of ours is a preacher. He's like, did I fall off of God's timeline? God has a purpose and I preach that God has a purpose, but I don't ever die. So we started with the thought behind why that song was created, and it inspired an entire novel.
Okay, cool.
So songs.
That's cool. That's cool. I was right. I was actually listening to a song after you and I talked. I was listening to a song on the radio, and it was a very sensual song. So I actually added some of that into that romance book. So that was cool because I never even thought about, hey, like watching a movie, you know, getting an idea from a movie or a song.
Yeah, you have to be careful always when you do songs and productions and movies that you don't take any of their intellectual properties. Like,
Oh, of course.
I would never want to pattern, like our book is not patterned after Tenors.
Yeah.
If you watch their video, Who Wants to Live Forever, it is not that. But it's the thought behind that, the thought behind
Right.
the words they were singing. Of course, they didn't write that song. It's a copy. But
Mm-hmm.
there's another song that they sing, and it's all about this winter time, and they're dancing around the Christmas tree, and he's remembering his wife who's passed away. And I'm like, oh, wouldn't that be a touching thing to add, that kind of a scene in there where he's remembering his wife who's already died, even though he lives forever.
Right.
That would be such a wonderful scene. Again, an idea, not their song, but it creates a scene that gets you out of your writer's block.
Right. All right. So let's go. We went from prompts to production to people.
They're the biggest tool you can use. This is where my daughter comes in handy. We brainstorm all the time. I'd be like, I need him to do this. He needs to go here. This is what's going on. What are your thoughts? Like, what do you think would be? And then we talk it out. I'll be like, no, that's not what I don't think that. And she'll be like, well, but he would do this. And we'll talk it out. And she'll be like, well, isn't Sebastian just being a martyr then? And I'm like, well, we probably should make that point. You know what I mean? Because if we're talking about it, or I'll give you a great example. We don't live in 1793. Women are treated so much better now than back then. Back then they had no job, no possibility of a job. They were not in 1812. Our second book is based in 1812, and there's a nurse. And my daughter's just like, why is he so dismissive to her? And I'm like, because the men did not view women as being worthy of having these positions. And she's like, and it was very difficult for her. And I'm like, well, if she's struggling with that, maybe I need to describe in some way in the story, maybe he battles with giving her her worth. You know what I mean? So if getting her feedback helps me to add things into my story. Also, and we mentioned, I said Dickens collected people. Dickens would go around collecting people's names, stories, and then integrating them into his stories. And the other thing I would say is character studies. If you understand your characters, you can really bring them out. We have discussions all the time about our characters. Like, would he actually do that? No. Yes, he would. Or, oh, he would totally do that. So knowing your characters well, spending time to we sat down before we ever started writing and just started writing all their characteristics. Was he a static character, a round character? Does he grow? What are his weaknesses? What are his fears? What does he excel in? What are his accomplishments that he's proud of? These all make up who we are, and it makes your characters more believable.
All right. So we got prompts, production, people. Last one is pause. And I think we went over that a little bit, right?
Yeah. Just taking a break.
Yeah. Taking a break.
Don't be afraid to take a break.
Yeah.
If you force it, you're getting a product that you're not going to be happy with. It's okay if it doesn't meet the production of, I want to get it done by April. Yeah. All right. So it's not done until August. But
girl, I took a pause for 5 years.
See? Better to take a pause and have it be right than to force it and it be mediocre.
Yeah. It took me 5 years to write my memoir.
Memoirs are harder.
Yes, tell me about it. It took me 5 years to write that book, and it was, I had so much trauma and so many memories that I brought up, and that just, and I had a piece missing from the book. A PIECE, a piece missing. And you know what that piece was? Peace. PEACE.
Yeah.
So until I found peace, I couldn't finish that book.
That's
And
part of the journey.
yeah,
That is
yeah,
part of the journey. And I think our writing shapes us. When I started writing book 1, I was dealing with a lot of anxiety from hormones. And it helped me dealing with that anxiety, sitting
yeah,
down and getting my brain focused on something other than what I was dealing with. And
right,
then I ended up working that into one of our characters who was also struggling with anxiety, because I think people just were like, "Oh, well, you're not doing this or you're not doing that." And it's something that everybody deals with in some way.
right.
Everybody has anxiety about something.
Oh, yeah,
And so using that as a tool, I think writing can help us. Like you said, finding the peace in your journey,
right.
finding, your peace in the anxiety, finding how to conquer that anxiety or how to deal with it
How to deal with
healthily.
it. Yeah,
You know,
healthfully. That's the key word, operative word.
yeah.
So, John Grisham's book, The Innocent Man.
Mm.
The Innocent Man in that book is my father.
Really?
Yeah, and I
Yeah, I was
named
reading the blurb on your thing when you said check it out. I was reading. I'm like, this looks really interesting.
my book The Daughter of the Innocent Man.
Awesome.
But my book is more than just The Daughter of the Innocent Man. It goes into, I mean, everything. It's a memoir, but it goes into mental health issues, drug addictions, motherhood, finding my birth mother, finding my birth father. I was a stripper, so girl, it just tells a whole life of a person. So,
And you
if y'all
kept it
want
under 500 pages? How'd you do that?
to, girl, I had to. I couldn't tell the world everything now.
Of course not. We don't need to know it all.
And you know what? The most important thing was when I wrote that book, and I had a lot more in that book, I had to take it out because I had to think about my boys.
Yeah.
Will they want that information out there on their
Keep it in
mom?
perspective.
You know what I'm
That is
saying?
true. And that's a
So,
little bit like even with our title, like our
yeah,
author, we named it JC King,
yeah,
not Catherine King or Joanna King. I said, because I wanted to give her that nod. She helped did some of the planning and everything. I'm like, she should be on there.
yeah,
No, she didn't write it, the whole book, but no, she contributed a great amount. She should be on there.
yeah.
So that's we always did JC King, so that, giving that honor. And yet there were a couple chapters, we have one vampire that embraces it all, but we wanted to keep our book so that our students could read it if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went through that chapter probably about 20 times to make it correct. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So that all audiences could read it.
So your
And that was
your
difficult.
last published book, tell the people where they can get it from, the name of it, and what it's. Just give us 1 minute. Give us
Okay,
1 minute.
1 minute. You can get it at all major retailers. It's also on Amazon, Kindle Unlimited, Audible. No Place for Us is the first book. I recommend starting out with that one. It has 4 men who have survived a shipwreck and become vampires, but they don't want to be. But we treat it as a disability, so it is clean, wholesome. Yes, they are vampires, but we treat it more like, how do you deal with temptation in your own life? How do they deal with that? And how does it shape them, with an overall theme of redemption in book 1.
All right. And do you have a website?
We do aeternumsaga.com. It's the Latin word for forever. So
Okay.
Aeternum Saga, AETERNUM saga.com. You can also find us on Facebook at JC King.
Okay, cool. So my website is called noeltheauthor.com, and that's NOELTHE author.com. You can find my memoir on there, and that's The Daughter of the Innocent Man. I do have a self-help self-discovery healing journal,
Fantastic.
2 children's books and 2 coloring books. It's crazy how people say, oh, you can make $10,000 off a coloring book. I'm like, what do you think? Because I ain't made hardly nothing off them coloring books, girl.
Well, we all need a color every once in a while, but there's a lot of them out there right now.
Oh, goodness, that is so funny. So you can find us Facebook Live every Monday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can find us on Roku. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, I do believe Google. And the title of our show is Authors, Writers, and Wannabes. Miss Catherine King, I do appreciate you coming online with me tonight and sharing your insight on writer's block. Is there anything that you want to add?
I think most authors need us to remember, as you're wanting to get into writing, the advice that someone told me: you will not become rich on your first book. You probably don't break even to your second book. By your third, you start making money. And that is really solid advice. We get really hopeful in our first book. It's going to make a million. We're selling wonderfully right now.
Yeah.
But we're on our third book.
Yeah.
You got it. It's a long marathon. Don't give up. Just keep doing it.
I can't, you know what? One thing I can't stand is when I read people, oh, I just wrote a book, but I don't want to make any money off of it. I'm like, what did you write it for?
For self-help. To deal with my anxiety.
Oh my goodness. Who doesn't want to make money off of their production?
I thought we'd sell 10 copies. I really did. And we have sold 50 books last month. We went to a show this last weekend and sold 30. Cool. It really is just taking off. But I really thought we'd sell 10 to family and friends. I'd be happy with just a copy.
Yeah.
You know, it's been wonderful.
Yeah.
It's been a blessing.
The thing is, I wanted to write this book to help others, to help other adoptees, help people that have gone through mental health issues, people who have struggled with addiction, people who,
absolutely,
you know, people who, you know, it's for anybody, people who have had anybody serve in prison for a wrongful conviction. You know what I'm saying? So, so that's what my book is about. But and that is called The Daughter of the Innocent Man again. Miss Catherine, I do appreciate you coming online. It is our time and we do have to go, but catch us next Monday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on my Facebook Live, and that is Noelle Daniels. Good night, y'all.
Good night.